Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome back. In this video we will be doing equation of circles. Now equation basically means description of something. Now this time we are going to describe circles, like where its actual location is and how big, how small it is. So we'll be talking about its size and its positions, like that. Now before we start, do you know what is a circle? Come on, miss, at least we know that thing. A circle is a round shape like this one on the screen. Now, what is in that? A circle. Now, I actually lost my Apple Pencil, so I can't draw with that. So my drawing will be a little ugly, but hopefully you guys can tolerate. So in circle, there's a point in the middle. We call that center. I'm using a finger to write it basically. Apart from that, we have a line connecting from the center to the outer line called radius, Spoon King. And then what is that outer line called then? That outer line is called as circumference. Circumference, R-E-N-C-E. Now, what's so special about it? Well, nothing yet. Now, apart from these basic naming, you also need to know a few other things like the area of the circle, the circumference of the circle, and like that. So what is area of the circle? Like how many things can fit in this whole circle? That's area, right? Area of the circle will be pi r squared. You need to recite some of the formulas here. And then apart from that, we also need to know the outer line length. The outer line is called circumference. So basically, we need to know the circumference length, which is circumference 2 pi r. Now, it's easier to remember because for area, the unit, you write it as cm square or anything square, basically. And then for circumference, just a length. And then the length unit, we will just write it cm or just without any power, single power, right? The same goes here. So you won't have any powers there. And this one, you will have a square, right? It's easier to remember this way. It's not really that reason, but yeah. Okay, so pi r squared and then circumference. You need to know these things. And then apart from that, you also need to know what a sector is. What's a sector? Sector, in easy language, I call it as a fan. What kind of fan is that? The older generation fan, this part. This part is called a sector. What's so special about sector? Sector is part of a circle only. Now, a whole circle is 360 degrees. And sector, we need to know what part of it is. So we will have a thing called angle here, which we call it as theta. So that helps you to tell which part of the circle is the sector that you need. So for example, the whole thing is 360, right? And this part is 60. So is it more than half or less than half? Yeah, obviously less than half. 60 is a lot less than 360. Okay, just something like that. And then even for the sector, if you want to find the area, since it's part of the circle, you just need to do times theta over 360. Same for the circumference. Well, do we have a circumference for the sector? Now, this time, what you will have is a thing called this outer line. This is called arc, A-R-C, arc. So this time you will have a thing called arc. Then arc is also part of the circumference. So it's part of the whole. If it's the whole line, the whole circle outer line, we call it circumference. But if it's part of it, we call it arc. Okay? And that will be, again, the circumference times theta over 360 because it's just part of it. This is just some basic information you need to know because MC of equation of circle topic they ask you 3 to 4 things in just one single question, and you need to do it within 2 minutes, right? Because this is a long question. So, I mean, a question that requires more steps. Even in this video, I know some of you might have programs, but I'm not using any of the programs in this video because I want you guys to clear some of the concepts first, so that if you receive some weird questions in next DSC year, then you won't get scared. Like, of course, there are programs to help you do the calculation easier. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the actual topic, equation of circle. Yes, you will be given a circle usually, and you will be given a center. You might be given a point outside, and you might be given the radius. So this is one of it. Now, what if my circle is so small? So there's different types of circles like this, even the locations are different now. How do I know where is my circle? To know your circle, you need to know its center so that the middle point is fixed, first of all. And then if you want to know the size of it, like even if the center is here, you could have drawn another circle like that. Oops, something like that. Now this pink circle, this black circle, they all have the same common center. But the length here is different, right? This one, the first one, the pink radius is so small. And the black one, the radius is big. So the bigger the radius, the bigger the circle it is. All right. So use the center to know your fixed area first. And then use the radius to know how big the circle is. Good. That's why it's so important. And then now equations. And just like straight lines, we have equations. And we also have for circle. Actually, they all are really connected, but then we don't go that deep into it right now. So we have two styles of equations of circles. One is called standard form. The other one is called general form. You will be seeing both of them in the MC questions, even in the long questions. And then long questions, if the question is super hard, most of the time in part A, they will be using standard form. But if the question is like, okay, like medium level, level 3 to level 4, for students getting level 3 to level 4, they are usually using general form. Standard form is easy, but they will only use it if it's a long question, like over 10-mark question, so that you can at least get 2 points from it, like part A, and then the rest, Allah madad karega. That just means like God will help. Okay, so what is standard form? Standard form, we write it as x cum h square plus y cum k square equals to radius square. Base, what is h, what is k, what is r? X, y, and 0 is like common variables that you will be using for the equations. So now I really need you guys to draw this somewhere so that it's easier for you to understand, like this one, x, y, and the circle, hk, and then all these things. So hk, basically the coordinate of this center is h and k. And then radius is just the length from the middle to the outer line. So to make the equation, we need to have the center, we need to have the radius, right? So this is the most common one. If this is your equation, you can immediately find your center first. Center is basically this part and this part, h and k. And then you can also immediately find that your radius is r. So you basically, what you do, now here there's a square, right? So you need to remove the square. How do we remove the square? We give a square root. So no matter what you have on this side in the standard form, square root it first to get your radius. And same here. Do you see that there's a minus? Now, negative signs basically tells that you always write the opposite. So if in future you have a plus sign here, positive sign, you need to write negative h there. Okay, so opposite signs basically for center. And the radius, square root that thing. So if they give you square there directly, of course, you will know that this part is the radius. Okay, standard form. Of course, I feel like I'm talking some theories at the moment because we haven't started doing the questions. Once we start doing that, then you won't find it so hard. Okay? Okay, let's continue. Another thing, general form. Now, general form, it depends on your school, what kind of form they give you. Now, I personally prefer this one, DEF style. X squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f equals to 0. E, okay, we understand there's x and y because it's an equation. What is this d, e, and f? These are just made up by myself. Like, d basically means the coefficient of x. Coefficient of x, what does that mean? That I'm having a little bit of sore throat, but I still need to shout to do this recording. And then coefficient of x means the things next to the x. Coefficient of y means the things next to the y. And then the things that have no x and y is called a constant. That's how we use f to represent. Now from this whole thing, make sure everything is on one side first of all, equals to 0. Secondly, make sure your x squared and y squared is single. What does that mean? Single means if there's a 2 in front here, you divide the whole equation by 2 first, and that will be your equation. Okay? To find things simpler in future. Okay? So from this equation, we can also find our center. Center will be the coefficient of x and y divided by 2. So we do negative d over 2, negative e over 2. So what happens? Again, the opposite signs divided by 2. Now, center is a coordinate, so you will have a comma in between. This is the x coordinate of the center. This is the y coordinate of the center, like that. And apart from that, of course, it's a circle. We also need to have the radius. It's hard to not use a pencil when you rely on it so much. But who cares? We don't have that much time to go to the store to get a pencil right now. And so my finger should be enough. Anyways, center here will be, okay, square root first. You have something square plus something square minus something. Now, what is those something, something, and something? That is the first part is the centers, the 2 centers here, the 2 centers coordinate. You put that. And then at the back, you put the constant. So we write it as negative d over e, negative b over 2, negative e over 2, minus f. So always put a bracket for the constant especially because sometimes you might have a negative signs here and then you will have negative outside and then bracket negative. So it becomes positive in the end. Okay, so be careful on these things. Most importantly, remember the equations are only applicable when the coefficient of x squared and y squared are 1. 1. Okay. Okay, next thing. Now we know about circles now that it can be figured out by having a center and a radius, right? Then we need to connect it with straight lines. So we learned about straight line before, long ago, maybe in Form 4, and the circles in Form 5, like that. Now, how do I connect them together? So, can you tell me what are the differences between these few circles and the straight line? I have 3 types here. What's so special about them? There is, of course, something special, but what? No idea? Okay. Here, you will see that the straight line is cutting at 2 points. Here, the straight line is just cutting at 1 point. That's called tangent if there's just 1 point. And here, the straight line is not even touching it. Oh, then if the question asks me, how many intersecting points are there between one straight line this and one circle here? And how do I do that? Well, let's see the original things. Let's say this one. If my center is here, the whole long line is the radius, right? And then this one is the distance between these two. Okay. And if you know this point as well, you know the center, you know this point, then it's so easy actually. You just need to find the distance of this one, the small one, and also the radius length. If that distance is smaller than the radius, then of course the straight line is cutting through the circle and it has 2 points. Or let's see this one. Center. Even the length. Oh no, they both are same actually here, right? The length is same, the radius is same, the distance is same. If they both are same, that means the line is just touching at 1 point. Okay, so the radius and the distance are same. How about this one? Again, you have a center first. This is your radius. Oh, and that's your distance. Which one is bigger now? Longer. The distance, the point to the straight line is longer than the radius. If that is so long, so much longer than the radius, then that means that straight line is outside the circle. If it's outside the circle, that means it's not cutting it. And if it's not cutting it, that means there is no intersecting points, or we just say no solutions. Okay, so 2 solutions, 1 solution, no solution. 2 intersecting points, 1 intersecting points, no intersecting points. Just like that. Easy? No, miss, I don't get it anything. Yes, it's normal. So that's just one way if you can find the distance. But what if the question is so tricky and they don't give you this point as well? That is hard, right? Let's see. Let me just assume that you're not given any distances now. Then there's also a method. Now, what's more common in the DSE questions are they will be giving you equation of a straight line in this form, the general form as well. That means everything on one side. Or even if they give you some other ways, actually, it's no problem. They will give you an equation of straight line. They will also give you an equation of circle. You will have the 2 things. And then you need to decide whether they are having 2 intersecting points, 1 intersecting point, or no intersecting point. How do we do that? We do a thing called delta, discriminant. So how do we do that? Discriminant, have you heard of it before? Maybe yes, if you did quadratic equations before. This symbol. It's for b squared minus 4ac. Just like quadratic equations, if you have 2 points, the delta is greater than 0. If you have 1 point, the delta is equal to 0. If you have, let's say it's just flying upward, the line is down there, it's never touching, then we have no points. Same as this one. So for example, this one, you will know that the delta is greater than 0. B squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. What is b squared? What is a and what is c? That comes from quadratic equations only. So a is x squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So the things next to the square variable is called a. The thing next to the single variable is called b. And then the last one is c, like that. So b squared basically means anything, the coefficient of x here. A means the coefficient of x squared and C means the constant. Okay, you use this thing. Then how do I this one does not have any square. So this is not a quadratic equation. And this one, it also has x and y. How do I connect them? Easiest way is to make one of the unknown as the subject. So let's say we can make y as the subject. So you put ax to the other side, c to the other side, and then divide by b in the end as well. So you will have y single here. After having that, just put it into the circle because all the y's will be replaced by the in terms of x. So you will just have one unknowns in the end. Then you can do the delta. Okay, so if it's 2 points, we say delta bigger than 0. If it's 1 point, we call delta is equals to 0. And then if there's no point touching, delta less than 0. Cool. Of course, it's hard. The equation of circle is never easy, actually. It's a very big topic. All right, so that's just the 3 main things of equation of circles that you need to understand from senior forms. But you can't forget some junior form knowledge, like a thing called Pythagoras theorem and a distance formula. What is a Pythagoras theorem? Until if you're doing this topic, that means you already know some basic knowledge of Pythagoras theorem. So it's in a right angle triangle. You call the lines next to the right angle as legs, or we say A and B, and the hypotenuse as C. And then using the Pythagoras theorem, we figure out that A square plus B square equals to C square. Okay, you might need to use this a lot actually. And then how about distance formula? Square root first. The 2 x's minus each other and the 2 y's minus each other. Square it, plus it, and then square root it. Easy. That distance-based formula basically means you have 2 points, coordinates, and then you want to find their distance. Now that we are talking about distance formulas, I would like to talk about a little more. There's a thing called, let me see if I can add page. Yes, I can. So let's say it's again the same line. X2, Y2, X1, Y1. I want to know the coordinates of this point. This is exactly in the middle. That's what we call midpoint. Midpoint is basically add up these two, divide by 2, and then for the y as well, add up those 2 and divide by 2. So it's x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. How do I know? Let's say if just it's normal numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to know the middle number between 1 and 6. What will it be? You add them up because they are just adding up the same thing. So you can use this method. Even for the coordinates, it's all in order. So you can use that. We call them AS basically. So it will be somewhere here between 3 and 4, which is 3.5. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. Okay. Just the midpoint. That's what I wanted to talk about. And since we are already talking about the coordinates, then let's also just do some little revision about slope. You never know. Maybe you need to use it. How do we use it? Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. And then now we also mentioned about equation of straight line, right? Just a revision. How do we find that? For equation of a straight lines can be like this, it could be like this, it could be like this, right? It could be anyways. Like, what's so special? It's about their directions. Direction, we use slope to define actually. So if your slope is positive, we say it's going up. If your slope is 0, horizontal, if your slope is negative, you go down like that. So equation of circle is y minus 1 of the point, x minus 1 of the point equals to the slope. And then you just do These things goes up and then moving, put everything on one side. Okay, so now that's it for this round that we talked about the concepts only. It's just a lot of, we call it theories type, like a lot of background information. Usually I don't do this because I usually skip these things and then directly go to the questions and then explain while doing the questions, because that's what I prefer, because practice makes perfect. Now, but in this video, I just wanted to try something new, like actually teaching. It's not teaching, actually, it's just revision only. Teaching requires a lot more deep details. And then, so this is just part of the revision, and hope you guys like it. If you like it, please remember to, what do you guys do? If you still haven't subscribed it, you subscribe it. If you like the video, you like it. If you want to comment about something, you can also comment about it. For example, what kind of questions you want me to do? Like just MC, a long question, or what? I was supposed to do MC in this video, but then suddenly I'm receiving some calls, so non-stop. So that means there's some emergency, so I have to attend it. And if I attend it, I might not be able to do the recording right now. So that's why in this video, just concepts. In next video, I can do some past papers of equation of circles, MC, basically, mostly MC. And if we have time before DSE, then I can also do long questions, or you can ask long questions during classes, actually face-to-face classes. That will be much better because I can also know that which part you are stuck and which part you're doing it fluently. And then for MC, it's basically repetitive, so it's better we do it on videos. Okay, so until next time, see you, tata, bye-bye, Allah Hafiz. You can close the video now, Allah Hafiz. Okay, just the 3 main things. The 4 and 5 is just revision of the previous things. And then you can always pause the video, replay the video to find out whatever you want. Okay, so that's it. Just remember the formulas. And then remember, you need just to learn how you can find the center from it, radius from it. Okay, and if there's some misconception, misunderstandings, or anything that you're confusing, please also feel free to contact me anytime. So see you next time. Allah Hafiz.